We're here today in beautiful Surrey to meet Ian and look around his beautiful 1900 property. Now, this is a very non-traditional property for a heat pump installation because the building is old, it's not very well insulated, and in fact even has single glazed windows in some parts of it. Nevertheless, the team from Elite have installed some Stiebel Eltron air source heat pumps, so let's go meet Ian and find out what his experience of having a heat pump has been so far. So Ian, beautiful property. On paper, not a typical heat pump property. So why did you decide that this would be a good candidate for a heat pump?
Well, I think you're right because, it's a very large house. It's 8,500 square feet. It's a very old house. It's 125 years old. The insulation is not the best. Let's just say it's a leaky house. And most people, if not all the people I've spoken to about heat pumps, have said that it'll never work here. However, I'll never take no for an answer. First of all, we have oil here. That's all we have. That's all we had. There's no gas anywhere near and there's no prospect of gas happening at all. I didn't want to be subjected to the oil price movements up and down on a monthly basis, the way things are looking. And I felt that, putting in heat pumps might well help. I also was very suspicious about, some of the comments I'd begun to hear about heat pumps and started challenging them. Why, for example, is Norway 60% penetrated? And we, I think when I was looking, was 0.15% penetrated with heat pumps. So I did a lot of research and discovered that there was a huge amount of fake news about heat pumps. And, when I went to talk to various other people, they said to me that it'll never work in a house like this. I wanted to keep the old school radiators, which date back 125 years with this house. And they said, they'll never work with heat pumps. You'll have to take all the radiators out. And if that had been the case, we would never have gone down that route. Eventually, I got various people in. I got 4 companies in to give me quotes to do the heat loss calculations. And I discovered, talking to those experts, that a lot of what I'd been hearing about in the press, a lot of what I'd been reading about, as I said earlier, just wasn't true. And I began to realize that heat pumps in a house like this was going to work. So I took those 4 companies, interviewed them all, did a lot of reviews about the quality of service, went online, found out how good they all were, and narrowed the target suppliers down to 2. Interviewed the managing director of each of those businesses and looked at the quality of the person, the quality of the business, and ended up going with Elite Renewables.
Has living with a heat pump meant that you've had to adapt your lifestyle or adapt your habits and behaviours much?
Well, yes, it has, interestingly. I no longer have to worry about whether I'm going to run out of oil. I no longer have to keep checking the tank. I no longer have to worry about, are they going to turn up on time and give us the delivery at the right time? And the other important thing is I don't have to worry about turning the heating down if we happen to go abroad during the winter, for example. And so what we can do with the Stiebel Eltron system, instead of keeping the oil on at a decent temperature for the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks that we're away, we can turn it down to a basic level, to a frost protection level. And if we have the family wanted to come and stay whilst we're away, I can remotely turn it up from anywhere in the world. But I can calculate the number of days I need to have the heating on based on the current ambient temperature in order to make sure that the house is toasty when we come home. And that makes life so much easier. So I have adapted, but it's in a very positive way.
So Ian, we've got a couple of cascaded green painted Stiebel Eltrons.
Yes.
Why Stiebel Eltron for this install?
When I first started doing the research, I looked at all the major heat pump suppliers and got the list down to 2 or 3 that I thought would have the capability of working for our house. And once we appointed Elite, Martin taught me through the various options and convinced me that Stiebel Eltron, and it didn't take much to convince me, I have to say, Stiebel Eltron being German and a very, very good supplier, that they were the best company to provide the service. And 3 years plus in, It seems to be working perfectly.
Yeah. I think Stiebel Eltron, we find ourselves recommending them a lot. The remote monitoring capability is unbelievable, as you've seen with the app. And
yes.
For us as an installation company, we can see the performance of all of the heat pumps. We can control them remotely. I think you use the Stiebel Eltron app yourself as well, don't you?
Oh, always.
How do you find it?
Allowing me and my wife to go away on holiday in the winter, turn the heating down to 0, or at least the frost protection levels, and then turn it back up 2 or 3 days, depending on what the ambient temperature is, to room temperature, to the normal temperature, 20 degrees C, 21 degrees C. It works perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's great to come back from holiday to a toasty house, which having spent nothing on the previous 2 weeks virtually on the energy costs.
Yes, does help, doesn't it? Every so often we score all of the major heat pump manufacturers against 15 or so criteria to see who has the best products in the market at any one time. And Stiebel Eltron often comes out at the top of that list because of their aftercare, and the technical team in the UK is incredibly strong and very responsive. And
Yes.
I think you've experienced some of that, haven't you?
Yes, I think this installation probably is one of the bigger installations that have been done, certainly in the time it was done 3 years ago. And obviously you're going to have teething problems, and I was able to call on a fellow called Andy Probert, who's the Southeast engineer, who's an excellent fellow, and when necessary, it's only ever happened twice I think, he comes along, looks at what needs doing, fixes it, and Bob's your uncle, we're back up and running. And also I discovered that both he and the elite people do monitor our heat pumps as well.
Oh yes.
Just to make sure everything's working.
We're always watching.
Yes, you bet. That was a good thing to hear, actually.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why we recommend Stiebel Eltron
Yeah.
so often, because their remote monitoring capability. Sometimes only the homeowner can see how the heat pump's performing, but with Stiebel we actually get the dashboard
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
as long as we've commissioned it, we can see all the data,
Yes.
which is great. Sometimes if we've got a customer that's got an issue, we can actually just dial into their heat pump, resolve it remotely. We
Yeah.
don't even need to go out to them. So.
Yeah. And it's great, because I know that if something goes wrong, it may well be being monitored, and you know before I know.
What about your energy tariffs, Ian? How much are you paying for your electricity?
Now, we were using E.ON, but I fell out with them, I have to say,
Okay.
because the customer service was pretty poor. We moved to Fuse, which I'd never heard of, and I think I'm getting a reasonable rate at about 21, 22 pence per kilowatt hour, something like that.
And is that a heat pump specific tariff, or is that just a general tariff?
No, that's a general tariff.
Oh, you could save quite a lot of money with a heat pump specific tariff from someone like OVO or Octopus. So we can send you some info about that, because you could be cutting that bill in at least half, if not more.
Oh, wow. Send it to me. That
Let's
would be
do
great.
that,
Thank
yeah.
you very much. That's a nice surprise. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few of the energy companies now have heat pump specific tariffs, so the price that they'll charge you for your heat pump electricity is quite a lot lower.
Right.
And then of course if you added solar and battery, then you'd be able to generate your own electricity and store it and use that to power the heat pump as well.
Well, that is certainly something we'll be looking at.
So Ian, what have been the energy costs and energy performance of this installation, given that it is a property which is quite an unconventional choice for a heat pump?
Yes, if I was told once it wouldn't work and it was unconventional, I was told 1,000 times. So I'm delighted to say that, it's been a tremendous experience. Our last house was about 20% smaller than this one and much better insulated. It was, a lot of it was much more modern than this house. And what we're finding now is that the cost of electricity, the cost associated with the heating of the house, cooking and all the rest of it, we are now spending less on electricity on this house than we were on the last house, which is 20% smaller and much better insulated.
Wow.
And I'm shocked at that.
And that's including a significant energy price increase.
Oh,
since then as well.
2x since then as well?
That's extraordinary.
So I think we're making tremendous progress here. If I had gas here, as in the last house, it would be about twice as much in my reckoning compared to what we're paying at now for all the costs of heating, energy and lighting in the house.
I mean, it has to be said, just looking at the older part of the building, there's no insulation in the old part of the building.
Correct?
And it is very leaky. I mean, you've got some single glazed windows.
Correct.
It's leaking a
About
lot.
half the windows are single glazed, actually.
Right. And I mean, this isn't the highest performing efficiency of any heat pump installation, is it? So you think you're around a COP of around 3, is that right?
Yeah, well, because we were able to get the renewable heat incentive, I have to make a quarterly report on our usage. So I set up a spreadsheet that allows me to see what the coefficient of performance is, both on a quarterly basis and cumulatively. And we're about 3 years in now. What I'm finding is in the warmer months, we're getting 3.3, 3.4 COP, and cumulatively after just over 3 years, we are at just about 3. So not bad. That means I'm paying, for every kilowatt hour that's produced, I'm paying a third of my rate of 21 pence, so about 7 pence per kilowatt hour. And that's probably why, the actual costs of heating this monstrosity are a fraction of what we paid in our last house. for a gas-based system.
So what would you say to someone else who's got a beautiful traditional property like this, who's maybe been told that heat pumps won't work or you're going to have to insulate it or something like that?
I would say don't listen to the mainstream media. Don't believe what you read in the papers about how dreadful heat pumps are and that they won't work on all properties. I mean, that's clearly proven if you look at the penetration of heat pumps in Scandinavia, in Germany, in France. So I would say don't listen to all of that. Get a very reliable company in to give you a quote, to do the analysis, to give you a guarantee. And they will give you a guarantee, as Elite did for us. You know, if you're looking at heat pumps, don't believe what you're seeing in the papers. Just get on with it. Get a quote, get a guarantee from the company, use a good company that's reputable, get a guarantee it's going to work, and you may well find that you're going to save a lot of money.
If you're thinking about heat pump, solar, battery, MVHR or air conditioning for your property, then contact us at Elite Renewables. You can give us a ring on 020-8706 0056, or you can contact us through our website at eliterenewables.co.uk. We make the process really simple, so we'll have an initial chat where we'll be able to give you a ballpark estimate for your project. We'll then send one of our technical team over to your property to visit you, to understand the property in a bit more detail, and to conduct a detailed survey so that we can give you an exact quote. Contact us by giving us a ring or dropping us an email through our website today.